My name is Bea Lefkowitz and I'm the director of the AJR Refugee Voices archive. I'm sorry we cannot be together physically today, but happy that technology allows us to connect to each other digitally. I'm standing outside Belzer Square Synagogue, where we would normally gather to commemorate the 82nd anniversary of the November Pogrom, often referred to as Kristallnacht, which took place on the 9th of 10th of November 1938. Most of us know the history of this significant event. 1,400 synagogues and prayer rooms, Jewish cemeteries, more than 7,000 Jewish shops and 29 department stores throughout Germany, Austria, and the Sudetenland were ransacked, set alight, and destroyed. More than 30,000 Jewish men were arrested and taken to concentration camps, primarily Dachau, Buchenwald, and Sachsenhausen. About 1,300 to 1,500 people were killed, many more if you include the many suicides and the death of deported men in the concentration camps. Many of the 250 interviews who we interviewed for the AJR Refugee Voices History Archive experienced Kristallnacht, and many of them talk about it in detail in their testimony. One interviewee captures the essence of Kristallnacht. She said, "From that day on, everything changed." Today we will share the powerful testimony of two of our interviewees, Kurt Marx, who was born 1925 in Cologne, and John Izbicki, born 1930 in Berlin. As today we're all going through times of uncertainties, strong political divisions, and fake news, it is important to recall Kristallnacht as a turning point of the legalized violence of the Nazi regime towards Jews. It is important to remember what can happen as a result of propaganda and the victimization of one particular group. In the longer version of the interview of Kurt and John, they don't only talk about the perpetrators and the bystanders, but also about the upstanders. They talk about the neighbor who warned Kurt's father not to be in the flat on Kristallnacht, and the porter of the building who told John's parents that their shop would be attacked at 7 p.m. that evening. And also the butcher who did not want to give his weight to the Nazi thugs. The power of testimony goes above a singular event. The act of listening makes us witnesses of the November Pogrom 1938 and reminds us that listening in itself can be a form of social action.
I went to school as normal on my bike. On the corner of our street was the toy shop, which was there until fairly recently, strangely enough. It's been a toy shop all these years. Only recently has it been changed. When I came out, there was one of the glass windows, one of the windows had been smashed. Well, it could have been an accident, I don't know. I saw it. And there used to be a game called, English is called Ludo, Mensch ärger dich nicht. And there was this thing flapping in the wind and it says Mensch ärger dich nicht. But I could still see it. Anyway, I carried on to school. When I get to school, gold commotion, smoke coming out of the building, teacher outside the school. No school today. Didn't know why. Go home and whatever. Well, you don't have to tell a boy twice, go home, no school. It wasn't such a pleasure for me, you know, it's always day off is very good. So I thought, well, before I go home, I'll go and visit my uncle, the butcher, you know, which is not very far from there. When I get there, completely destroyed. Windows smashed. Inside, there was a large shop with all marble smashed to small pieces. And then suddenly I said, first, shop on the corner where we lived, then the school, now this. There's something obviously wrong somewhere.
I was having my afternoon rest and woke up to hear a lot of glass being smashed, and I raced to the window and looked out, and I saw that the leatherware shop opposite had been smashed. The windows had been smashed. And just then, a woman who was clearly quite old and who was obviously in pain from arthritis or whatever, walked past the shop, and as she did so, she screamed, "Dirty Jews, they should kill a lot of you." And the screaming went on and on. And one jagged piece of glass, which was just hanging by a thread, came loose and crashed down on her head. And that evening, my grandmother was there, and my parents were still in the shop. It was business as usual as far as they were concerned. And it was starting to get dark at about 6. And I walked to the balcony and stood there and looked out. And in Berlin, things went round very quickly. The gossip, the talk. And the street started to fill with people opposite our shop. And they waited. And at 7 o'clock, the Nazis are always very timely. If they say 7, it's not 1 minute past or 1 minute before, it's 7. I could hear them marching and singing a sort of horse vessel type song. And they marched to the shop, whistling, and threw the first stones and bricks at the window. And the stones and bricks bounced back. It was a thick, curved window. And nothing broke. So what they then did was they went 2 doors away to a butcher's shop and went in and said, "Can we borrow your heavy weights?" And the butcher said, "What do you want them for?" And they said, "Want to break the Yid's windows." He says, "In that case, you can't have them. Get out." So instead, they smashed his glass counter and knocked him down, unconscious, and took the heavy weights and went back. And they smashed the window. And I knew my parents were in there. And they picked up glass and threw it through the window at, I presumed, my parents. And I screamed and screamed and screamed. And it left me with a hoarse voice that's been with me ever since.